Hello learners, welcome to Now Let's Learn channel. Hope you're doing good. This is Trio and today we will learn a Python program used to find the location of a given element inside the list. So here we have a complete program. We have divided this program into three sections, 1, 2, 3, and we will look into each section in detail so that you understand how this program works. And based on this understanding, you can try working on other programs as well. So what is the agenda of this program? Basically, if you're given a list and if you're asked to find the location of any element given the list, then how do we do that? That's what we're going to achieve in this program. So let's work on the section 1. What do we have in section 1? We have three lines. The first line is user list is equal to. Basically, we are creating a list by the name user underscore list, and we are giving 10 elements, and those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we are creating another variable called toFind. Here we are giving the element for which we need the location. For in this case, I want to find what is the location of 5. So I'm giving the value of 5 to the variable toFind, and then I'm using another variable called found. Here I'm assigning a boolean value. I mean, you will know that we have two types of boolean value. One is true or false, and I'm selecting false here. So basically in the section 1 we are creating a list, we are creating a variable and holding the value for which we want to find the location, and then we are creating another variable found and we're giving a boolean data type, and in this case it's false. And why we are giving it and how it works, we'll look into it in the section 2. Okay learners, let's look into the section 2 in detail. So basically we're using a for loop, and we are giving the range as length of that user list, which is, as you remember, it was 10. So basically it will iterate from 0 to 9, and let's see what happens. And hopefully if you are not good with, I hope that you are good with for loop, but if you're not, I would suggest you to go and learn what is for loop before you see the section, else you will find difficulty in understanding this particular section. So now for those who understand for loops, let proceed further. So let's say, as I said, you the value will start from 0 and end with 9. So when the value of I is 0, what happens? Found is equal to user list of I is equal to toFind. So here, when the value of I is 0, the user list value becomes 1. If you look at the the Excel sheet which I have pasted here, when the I value is 0, the user list becomes 1. Tofind is constant, like for all the value it's going to be 5. But the value of found is interesting. The value of found will become true if the value of user list and toFind both become same. So when the value of I is 0, user list becomes 1, toFind becomes 5. Since these two do not match, the value of found becomes false. And then we have an if condition. If a found basically mean, like if found becomes true, you have to come out of the loop, but if the found is not true, it has to continue. So in this case, when the I value was 0, found is still false, so it will go back and do the whole loop again. Then the value of I changes to 1, user list value changes to 2, toFind remains at 5, and found remains at false because user list and toFind still do not match, and the program continues. Then I becomes 2, user list value for I is equal to 2 becomes 3, toFind remains 5, and found becomes still stays false because user list and toFind do not match. When I becomes 3, user list becomes 4, toFind remains at 5, found remains at false because user list and toFind still do not match. Now this is interesting. When I value becomes 4, As you know from the list, the fourth element is 5. So user list becomes 5. ToFind remains 5. Now since user list and ToFind match, the found becomes true. If found becomes true, the next line, which is if found becomes true, it has to break the loop, and since that condition is achieved, uh, the program will break from the for loop and will go to the main program. And let's see what happens next. Okay, so let's look into section 3. The first line is if found. Okay, before we proceed further, just remember this concept in Python. Like if you do not specify a Boolean value, then by default Python considers it as true. So in this case I have said if found, but you have not mentioned is it true or false. So Python considers if found is equal to true, then execute the statement. If it is false, then execute the other statement. So in this case, if found becomes true, it has to print element found dot index, that's a string, comma I, that's a value. What was the value of I when found became true? If you're not sure, you can rewind the video. You'll find that when I was 4, that is when found became true. So your output would be element found out at index, and the value would be 4. Now let's say I wanted to find the value of 8. Well, simply replace the ToFind with 8 and you'll get an output. Now imagine you're giving a value which is not at all a part of the user list. Let's say I say 15. Is 15 a part of the user list? No. What happens? In that case, after for loop completes its iteration from 0 to 9, the value of found will become or will still be false. Then it will come to section 3. It will check for the first statement. If found true, no. What is the else statement? It will print absent. So if you give any element which is not available in user list, you will find the output as absent. So that's it for this program. Hopefully this program was useful. If you have any queries, please feel free to ask me over the comment section, and do subscribe to this channel to get more such videos in Python and examples for the same. So thank you for listening to this. Have a great day.